welcome to 2 Minutes to Think. My name is Jeswin and today we are going to discuss about a very critical topic, which is Farm Bill 2020. Now, what is this Farm Bill 2020? Why are farmers against this bill? And why the state government opposes this bill? And finally, are people really concerned about this bill? In this video, you are going to get the answers for all these questions. Let's say you are a person who have no idea about this Farm Bill 2020, or if you are a person who has no idea about anything, whatever is happening with the farmers, then this video is especially for you, because even I had no idea about what the farmers are going through prior to this video. But now I've got a broad understanding about this concept. So without any further delay, let's get into the topic, guys. So first question is, what is Farm Bill 2020? In simple terms, any law which we have in India today, the initial stage of that law would be a bill which has been nominated by the ministers. And then once that bill gets passed, that would be finalized as a law. And then the citizens have to follow that law. This is how a bill gets transformed to a law. Now, the Farm Bill 2020 is the same. Once it gets passed, it would become a law which the citizens have to follow. Before we continue with this topic, I want you guys to understand few facts about this industry, agriculture. Fact number 1. In agriculture, India is ranking at the top when compared to other countries. The second fact is, there is a huge amount of money which gets involved in this particular industry called agriculture. And the third fact is, if India focuses on this one industry called agriculture, India can become number 1 in GDP. In simple terms, let's understand, India can become number 1 in terms of growth. Before discussing about the laws, let's understand, India's current law about agriculture was declared 50 years ago. So for the last 50 years, this bill or this law was not reformed or upgraded. So now the government says that this is a Reformation Act law in which we will be improvising the regulations so that it will be helpful for the farmers. So now let's see what are the laws which has been proposed by the government. The first law is the Farmers' Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill 2020. Alright, I can certainly understand what is running through your head. Of course, even I lack interest while reading these kind of laws. But I did not lose the interest because of the laws, but I lacked interest because there was no one to explain it to me in very simple terms. So here, today let's understand this in short and simplest way. By the name itself, it says empowerment and protection. For whom? Yes, it's for the farmers, which is a very good movement. But now there's one more word which says farm services. Now, what does this mean? In simple way, if we need to understand, for all the farm services, for whatever the farmers are cultivating, harvesting and whatever they are producing, for all these goods, there is a price assurance. That means there will be a contract or an agreement between the farmer and the buyer. A buyer could be an agency or a wholesale dealer, or it could also be a big organization or even the government. So the farmer and the buyer, these two people will have an agreement about the pricing. Let's assume the farmer is producing 50 kgs of potato. The contract will be signed between these two at the initial stage itself, and they will agree on a common pricing. Let's say 1 kg of potato, you can sell it at 30 rupees. So this is called as contract farming. In simple terms, the price is already predefined. So there is no fluctuation at the time of selling. Even though the supply or the demand of that particular product can go high or low, but still the pricing would remain the same as per the contract. So this is what the first law says. And here we also need to understand about a concept of MSP. Now what is this MSP? MSP is nothing but minimum supporting price. So the farmer who is the owner of that particular product. Let's assume tomatoes. Now there will be a minimum supporting price for each product. Let's say for tomatoes, for 1 kg it will be 50 rupees. This will be decided by the government, and whichever buyer wants to purchase tomato, they cannot bargain less than 50 rupees from the farmer. So this is called as minimum support price, which was very much helpful for the farmers. Now let's understand the second law. It is the Farming Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020. Wow, a tough nut to crack, isn't it? Well, let's understand this in a very simple way. The words in the bill itself says promotion and facilitation. That means the farmers can promote or they can sell their products beyond their boundaries. Let's understand what is happening currently. There are a lot of APMCs, that means Agriculture Produce Market Committee. What is this? It's like a huge market union. This is the place where the seller, that is the farmer, have to come and sell his products, and the buyer will come and buy the products. This is the common place where this exchange happens. But let's also understand the reality. What is exactly happening in this place? There is an intervention of middlemen. Who are these middlemen and what do they do? These are the people who negotiate the price with the farmer. Let's say the farmer decides a pricing for his product. For example, sugarcane, 1 kg 100 rupees. Now, as per the existing law, the farmer can directly sell it to the buyer. But this middleman comes in between and they negotiate, saying that no, the current market price of sugarcane is very less. So we can only buy this sugarcane for 50 rupees. Of course, due to hard bargaining and negotiation, the farmer will agree to it and he will sell it to the middleman. Now this middleman, which can also be an agency, will raise the price and they will sell it to the buyer. This is what is happening in the current scenario, due to which the farmers are going under heavy loss. But there are few states like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, where this APMC is properly functioning. But most of the states, the APMC is not functioning properly. This APMC, or they call it as Mandi or the market union, is under the control of the state government. So under each state government there will be few APMCs. The farmers can only come to APMC in order to sell their products. And the middleman, whoever is dealing in between the farmer and the buyer, should also be carrying a license from the APMC. APMC is the authorized body of the government. This bill clearly says the farmers need not depend only on the APMCs or the market union within their territory, that is only within their state or only within their district. They can even approach different state or different buyer from a different state and they can sell their products. Whereas the current scenario is the farmers have to go through the APMC, which is located in their own state itself, because it is controlled under the state rules and regulations. So there will be a percentage of tax which has to be paid to the state government, as well as there is a percentage of profit which will also be going to the middleman who is dealing with this transaction. Now let's understand the third bill. The third bill is the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill 2020. By the word itself, you guys can understand. It clearly says Essential Commodities Amendment. So they're just modifying the existing bill. What is this essential commodities? There are a list of commodities which has been categorized as essential commodities, which comes under the regulation of the central government. It works on the principle of right quality, right pricing. When it comes under the control of the government, they will decide its pricing. For example, recently during this corona time, hand sanitizers and masks were huge in demand, whereas the supply was very less. So the government decided to consider these two commodities under the essential commodities list, and they control the price based on the supply and demand. Now what is the amendment part in this bill? What have they changed in this existing bill? The government have decided not to include a lot of products under this essential commodities list. Products like cereals, pulses, potatoes, onions, edible oil seeds, oil, All these are commodities which are not going to be considered under this essential commodities list. The prices can be decided by the buyer and the seller itself. So there is no fixed price. The central government is not going to interfere in regulating or fixing a particular price for a particular product. In case of war or famine, natural calamities, or a drastic increase in the price of these commodities, again these commodities will be listed under the essential commodities list. We also need to understand there are two categories. One is non-perishable items and perishable items. Items such as cereals, pulses, edible oil seeds and oil. These are all considered to be non-perishable items. That means it can be stored in a storage for a longer period of time. Whereas these perishable items cannot be stored for a longer period of time. For example, potatoes, onions, etc. The government decided to interfere in the pricing only if it exceeds 50% of MRP for non-perishable items and 100% of MRP for perishable items. What does that mean? Let's say coconut oil, which is coming under the list of non-perishable items. Let's assume that the coconut oil's current MRP is 50 rupees per liter. Now, only if the market price exceeds above 75 rupees, that is 50% of current MRP, only then the government will interfere and they will regulate the pricing. And for the perishable items, that is onions and potatoes. Now let's assume the current MRP for potato is 50 rupees per kg. Only when the pricing touches 101 rupees, that is only when it increases 100% of the MRP, that's when the government will really interfere into this pricing and they will regulate the pricing. Until then, there's no interference of the government. Yes, so now this is so convenient for the buyer as well as the seller to come to a conclusion and they can decide their own pricing and they can sell it to the people.